Hi, my name is Bob Swartz. I'm a Virginia beekeeper. I'm certified by Virginia Tech, and I think I know a little bit about bees. I took my first swarm in 1949, but I'm still learning. And there's a lot of people have done videos on dealing with package bees. I think I know other people have at least 3 different ways, but I want to throw something in there a little bit different. And the reason for that is because we've been notified that Georgia has detected the presence of non-European bees in their area. And in the case of non-European bees, the queens are not really a problem. You can change them anytime you want to, but it's drones that are the issue. And I'll just give you an example. Let's say that you bought the small package. That's a 2-pound package. I recommend 3-pound packages for the money difference. But if you bought a 2-pound package, for example, you could expect to have around 8,000 bees in that package. And in that 8,000 bees, don't be surprised if you've got at least 500 drones. Now, let's say, for example, that your virgin queen flies out and is mating, say, with 20 drones. That's not unusual. If amongst 100 drones there was one non-European drone, of the 20 that successfully mated, you could almost bet that 1 out of 100 non-European drones is going to be one of those bees that did successfully mate with that virgin queen. So what I'm going to try to show you is how to prevent you from bringing those drones to our Virginia environment. Because once it starts, based on information that has been put out, the colonies that have non-European bees in them are going to propagate. The example we were taught was if there's 10 colonies, one of which is non-European, that within 5 years they'll all be non-European. So that's something to keep in mind. That's how aggressive these drones are for in their ability to outperform the European bees when it comes to mating. One of the other things is I need to give you a little list of things that you're going to need to do this. Pretty much similar to most other package bee introduction. And another point I want to make is when you're doing it in this method and almost any other method, you want at least to install new colonies around 15 feet apart, because there's going to be drift. If you're not really careful, you could end up with all the workers in one colony and a queen by herself in another. So I'm going to try to show you a little bit of a aid that might help prevent that. And I'll start off by telling you some of the things you need. I got most everything here, I hope, but I'll start off with the material that you're going to need. To start with, you're going to need your hive tool. It's a very important tool. Hive tool, there's a lot of variations of hive tools. I think I got 3 different kinds, and usually use all of them except for the pincher one, and they haven't figured out a way to make that ratchet and lock shut, so I don't use it very much because for some reason or other I drop frames once in a while. Another thing you need is you're going to need a spritzer, a little spray thing. You don't want 1-to-1 sugar water in this, but you do want sugar enough that when you spray it, it kind of weights the bees down a little bit. It also gives them something to snack on. It also helps cool them off a little bit. The next thing you're going to probably need is a queen excluder. I have my queen excluder right here at the ready. And the next thing you probably need is a empty hive body. Empty hive body, artistically painted by my wife, and from a competition. Here's one painted by Roxanne with the 4 seasons. I'm going to use those just because they're the only ones on my property that are halfway respectable looking. The rest of them are kind of old and not looking really nice. Next thing you're going to need is a hive body with frames in it. And that's in this one right here. I've got a hive body with frames in it. Then the next thing you're going to need is an inner cover to go on the top of everything, I'm going to, instead of using an inner cover, which I recommend the inner cover with limited access to the bees in case drifting and robbing is going on, I'll put a temporary screen over the inner cover hole. But in this particular case, for convenience, I'm going to use another queen excluder, which is fine. It basically makes sure that this queen, after she gets out of the candy, she's not going to go anywhere after she gets out of her queen cage. And then I think that's pretty much everything. Oh no, entrance reducer. Definitely need an entrance reducer. And as far as material is concerned, another piece of material you can use, and I'll show you this briefly here, is a queen reducer, a restrictor, so the queen cannot get through here. For some reason, the word's evading me, but there's variations of that. You can salvage an old queen excluder. That's the word I'm looking for. Salvage an old queen excluder, or what I like to work with is the plastic ones, because I find them not useful for anything other than cutting up and using either as a queen restrictor, or in this case, a drone restrictor and excluder, drone excluder in actuality. Okay, so that's pretty much everything you need. Probably one of the first things I like to do is I'll take the package, and we'll simulate. This is the reason this is a dry run is because it was 16 degrees, I think, when I looked at the thermometer yesterday morning, and we got a few inches of snow here. So I don't normally usually do this right here on my hearth, but for convenience sake, it just seemed like a lot more comfortable. And since we're doing a dry run without bees, I'm hoping you will forgive me for for taking liberties to do such a demo. Okay. All right. One of the things I like to do is I like to set my spray up and spray the bees down a little bit, both sides, trying to get them settled down, under control, and something to do besides trying to escape as fast as possible. Then the next thing that I'll do is I'll pry the wooden cover that holds everything together here, and then I'm going to endeavor to get these bees out. I don't want one single drone to come out of here, and I just assume bees stay in there until I'm through. So what I will do now is I will sort of firmly bring the bees down, effectively trying to get them all down out of the way. I'll free up my queen cage, I pry a staple out of there, then quickly I'll bang my syrup out. I should have freed it up first with my hive tool, but we don't have any bees, so it's a lot easier to do this than it is to make a video, because the bees remind you if you're not doing everything right. So you take the can out, you take the queen cage out, and right away you cover up the bees. Now I worry about, a lot of times we get bees in cool weather, so my bee shirt has a pocket in it. I will stick the queen bee in there if it's cool. If it's really warm, then I will also not put her in the heat of the sun, because either would be detrimental to her health. Cool is particularly bad because you can actually affect her ability to lay properly. So I like to stick her in my pocket. Well, I don't have a pocket because I'm comfortable here in the house. The next thing I do is I will bang the bees down again, install my queen excluder on there, and then immediately cover it up. Okay, I'm not going to work with this one. I've got an alternative as far as cage. By the way, you take and sit that upright, because unless you're trying to drain the syrup out of there wastefully. Some people take that syrup actually and turn it over and shake it on the bees, but I try to accomplish that mission with my spritzer. Okay, so I'll set that aside, and then I need my wooden cover. Since we're simulating here, I need my wooden cover to cover up this hole. I think I'm going to have trouble getting my wooden cover, so I'm going to go on over here and get it, because I just tossed it across the room. That's not the first glitch I'm going to do in this production, but simulating. The bees are now contained. I've got the corn syrup, I got the queen in my pocket out here on the hearth, and we're basically ready to start the next step. The next step is to make sure I've got my entrance reducer on here, and I want the entrance reducer with the smallest possible hole, and that's for the reason that we're trying to control drift. And I'm going to take my syrup, turn it over, sit it on the queen excluder. That's kind of slow the bees down a little bit as they start coming out of here and wanting to go out. It's going to force them to look around and say, hey, this is a different place. Some people even put a little bit of grass across in front of there, something they can easily remove. But those first bees out will look around and say, this is not the same place I came from. So they'll take notes of that and hopefully not go drifting away. So right now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put my empty over this containment. I prefer this arrangement as to putting the empty on top. Some people put the empty above the frames. I don't know, it's always worked for me this way. And also, if you'll notice, bees almost always climb up instead of down. So to me, it's just natural. They're going to come out of here. They're going to want to climb up in the frames, and I want them to get up there to that queen just as soon as I can. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the queen out of my pocket, and I'm going to put her in the hive with the frames. If you've got spare bees, if you've got a frame of brood, this is a good place to put her. You shake the bees off of that brood. I like to use brood that is almost ready to pupate and be capped, because it makes it easier for me to look for eggs and the queen if I shake everything off and try to put my preferred brood. In addition to that, I'm going to take the queen, and the queen cage has a candy end. This, I'm taking it off so you can see the wire here. Taking the wire off so you can see the candy end and the non-candy end. So what I want to do is I want that candy end up. With the candy end up, the cork in the other end, the bees are going to, I'll take the cork out, the bees are going to have to eat their way in to that queen. Sometimes I'm even concerned that they're going to take too long. They've only been with this queen during shipping, so they really don't know her, but they've got nothing else to go for, so I'm happy if they'll eat themselves out of there in 2 or 3 days. So I'll take a toothpick and puncture a little hole in there depending on the time of day, which my preference is well after noon and maybe just before evening, as long as the temperature's up good enough to not jeopardize my queen with chills. So that's the way I'll hang it in there. I'll hang it with the candy up, the cork removed, and I will take that colony. A lot of times they come with, if I don't like what they come with, the wire, I'll put another wire on there, because I want to be able to hang them down about 25% of the way, about a quarter of the way, so because I want that queen to be able to be surrounded, especially if it cools off at night, by those bees. So there I've got it, cork out, which, by the way, I didn't take out, but we talked about it. I will take that cork out with my hive tool. And if my hive tool won't work, and I've got Old Faithful here that will work, that cork will come out. That's about the most obstinate cork I've ran into lately. Putting my queen down inside there, relying on the bees to eat the candy, just let the queen out. Sandwiching the frames up nice and snug to each other. That reduces unnecessary propolis buildup between the cleats. And then I'll put on my, I'm going to use a queen excluder instead of a inner cover, but queen excluder restricted is my favorite. Okay, so we're ready for the queen, we're ready for the frames. All we got to do right now, and you can do this, it's not really important, but you can bang it one more time. The main thing is to get that wood off so the bees can come out. And most of my bees will still be in there because they got to work their way out of that queen restrictor. And now I'm ready for closure. I want to, in Virginia we got humidity is such that I want to always ventilate this telescopic top, and that's why it's called telescopic, is because that's what it's for, is to elevate it. Bees will do much better if you've got good ventilation. Nosema will do much worse. So basically, we're all set. Now, if I did this at the end of the day, I'm ready to go out there the next morning. And I don't want to disturb my bees at all. I want to do it fairly early because I want to do it before that queen comes out. The bees have had a chance to check things out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I will sit my telescope top off, and then I'm going to bring with me some extra food. And I will probably bring 1 to 1. Just to help that queen while these workers are looking for nectar. I'm going to feed them some 1 to 1 in here. The syrup will probably still have some syrup in there, and that's fine, especially if you got undrawn comb, because that'll help them draw it. So you got the options to add whatever you want, but I want that at least 1 container, 1 to 1, so that when that queen comes out of there, they say, "Hey, spring is here. Check this out. Start laying." And the sooner she starts laying, the happier I am. The syrup, in the cases of undrawn, I like to have syrup in there for the undrawn comb. That will help a whole lot with getting that comb drawn out by using syrup as opposed to using nectar, which actually takes a little longer. So very quickly and very carefully, I'll set this aside. I will grab my drones out of there. I will add whatever else food I need in here. And as far as I'm concerned, this thing can stay on there just like this for another 7 days. I don't really have any purpose to take that off or be in a hurry to take it off. 7 days, I can come back there, remove the food, the feeders, and I'd be really surprised if these girls didn't do a fine job of building up. Now I'm left with the drones. I got all these drones in here. They're doing their best to get out. If there's one drone in there that's Africanized, then all of this extra trouble is worth it. Because just as sure as the dickens, my neighbor over there who has a bee yard maybe will appreciate me not turning these drones out. And the reality of it is these drones serve you no purpose whatsoever because your queen is already mated. What do you need these drones for? Your neighbor, if he's a beekeeper, he's probably already got his drones figured out. So you're not doing him any favor by releasing these drones. So I look in here and I've got somewhere around 500, maybe 400 to 700 drones. So I set my spritzer of soapy water, as thick as you can get it, usually about 15%. And I set it on a stream and I spray all these drones down. And you know, it seems pretty wasteful, but I don't know any better way to do it. I don't like any of the drone recipes I've ever seen, so I'm not going to make use of these drones. I'm just trying to control a problem and prolong the inevitable fact that Virginia someday is going to have more non-European bees than we want, which is going to eventually turn into some rules and regulations that I don't think we're going to like. If you don't believe me, check with the Californians. They don't have backyard beekeepers anymore. And there's a reason. And that's because the non-European bees have basically taken over. And if you want an inspection there, you have to pay for it. And if you get inspected and don't pay for it, and they catch you without compliance, you face fines, loss of your license, your insurance will probably get canceled. So let's keep Virginia non-European bees out as long as we can. I hope I didn't miss anything. I'm a beekeeper, I'm not a video maker, and this is probably the most difficult thing I think a beekeeper can do. And I got great admiration for you guys that can do a good job of it. But I don't want to do this anymore if I don't have to. Thank you very much.